Powered by the staff at Race Chaser Online. Your motorsports, your way, every day. And now, here's your host, Jacob Seelman.
No, actually, Jacob Seelman is off tonight. We booted him out of the studio and sent him over to Arkansas to be a part of the broadcast team for the Short Track Nationals over at I-30 Speedway in Little Rock, which is a huge dirt track race. So Jacob has a hall pass for the night, and substituting is Tom Baker. That is me. I am joined in the Race City USA Race Chaser Studios by Brett Guzik, the shop engineer for Front Row Motorsports, and also by Tyler Dipple, who is a frequent guest of our shows here. And Tyler is going to talk about his latest announcement, which is that starting next week in Talladega, he is going to be racing for GMS Racing in the Camping World Truck Series. Tyler, you certainly did pick a great race to start in running a truck.
Yeah, well, let's not jump the gun too quick. It's going to be the last four. I wish I was going to Dega, but...
so you're not running
No, not going to Dega.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I wish, but...
Cancel that.
Yeah, cancel that.
Where do you start then?
Be Martinsville, the last four.
Oh, well, see there.
Yeah.
That's much better. You start on a short track. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we'll still talk about Talladega in a truck, though. I'm sure Tyler's got some opinions on that. But we're also we've got Cisco Scaramuza on the Race Chaser Skype line, and we've also got, of course, Randy Miller over in the tech shed capably punching buttons, and we're going to have some fun tonight. We've got, in addition to Tyler and in addition to Brett, we've got Myatt Snyder going to be joining us later on via phone, and Ryan Vargas as well. So we've got actually two Camping World Truck Series racers and Ryan Vargas, who is, of course, part of the NASCAR Drive for Diversity group and also a member of NASCAR Next. And Ryan is competing this weekend in the K&M Pro Series East at Dover. So for all of you who are watching us on the Race Chaser Media Facebook page, we welcome you. And those of you listening live on either Spreaker or Performance Motorsports Network, welcome to all of you as well. If you're listening on demand on any of the platforms that we're on, glad you're all with us. We're going to get started with Motorsports Madness right after this.
You own a performance car and you know how to drive, but you want to learn real performance driving. Well, Bunky, get that car off the street and onto the track. Summit Point Motorsports Park, the Mid-Atlantic's premier road racing facility, located just over an hour from D.C. in nearby Summit Point, West Virginia, is the place to go. And you'll find that Friday at the Track is going to give you what you need. For less than a monthly car payment, you can attend this regularly scheduled one-day instructional event in your street car on one of Summit Point's 3 world-class road racing circuits. You'll receive classroom instruction, skid pad instruction in their cars, including front and rear skid control, and 4 20-minute in-your-car instructional sessions from a professional instructor. Have fun, go fast, and really learn how to drive. Call 304-725-8444 for class schedules and details. That's 304-725-8444. Friday at the Track at Summit Point Motorsports Park.
Green light. Hey girl, school zone. I'm getting hungry. Car changing lanes. You want to meet me for pizza? Stop sign. Intersection clear. Yeah, street. Pizza sounds good. Ball in street? Girl in street!
It's hard to concentrate on two things at once, like texting and driving. Stop the text, stop the wrecks. How will you stop texting and driving? Tell us at stoptextstopwrecks.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Here's an important message from RAD and this station.
Hi, this is Bob Sheehan from Blues Traveler for RAD, Recording Artists Against Drunk Driving. I like to party just as much as the next guy, maybe even more. But the one thing I won't do after I've had a few is get in the car and drive. Don't blow it. Always choose a designated driver. Remember, music lives, and so should you.
Automotive technicians and auto service trainees, how would you like to work at the beach and perform for one of the best car care centers in the nation? Louis Meineke is now looking for skilled automotive technicians to join their award-winning team. If you're a gearhead that knows his or her stuff or a young up-and-comer that has the motivation and drive to succeed, then you need to make this call today, 302-827-2054. Lewis Meineke Car Care Center, located in beautiful Lewis, Delaware, offers a highly competitive compensation plan, great benefits, a flexible schedule, and did we mention that you're going to be working at the beach? Plus, there's a signing bonus for the right candidates. Technicians must be ASE certified and have a minimum of 6 years experience. Beginners advance at your own pace in one of several entry-level positions. But whatever you do, don't wait. These jobs will go fast. Call Tim at 302-827-2054. That's 302-827-2054. Lewis Meineke Car Care Center. Rev up your career.
I'm Kaz Gralla, and you're listening to Race Talk on the Performance Motorsports Network.
Welcome back to Motorsports Madness. Kaz Gralla, formerly of GMS Racing, now has his own team, Fury Racing, that he is competing for in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Welcome back to Motorsports Madness. Tom Baker, Brett Guzik, and we've got Tyler Dipple in studio as well. Cisco Scaramuzza is coming to us via the Skype line. Randy Miller in the tool shed producing the show. We're going to talk to Tyler here. Tyler joining us once again, and this time with some pretty big news that has recently been announced. Tyler has spent most of this season competing in the NASCAR K&N Pro Series East for DGR Crosley, where he is currently second in the point standings. And Tyler, you're not going to be at Dover, but that's not the worst thing for you, because coming up here in a couple weeks, you're going trucking, joining GMS Racing at Martinsville. Talk a little bit about how that all came together.
It was just talked about for a while here, doing some truck racing, kind of getting my feet more wet in that, and doing some stuff for next year. And I really didn't think the opportunity was going to come at GMS, but the time and all the way the cards fell with Dalton and Cody leaving kind of opened up the seat, and we got in contact with them, and just things went really good. And now we're teamed up with Jerry Baxter and GMS Racing over there, and couldn't be more excited. It's a really, really good group of guys I got over there.
Well, Brett Guzik, I know that you've been keeping an eye, at least on the Truck Series. GMS, a team that has a lot of competitive racers. Of course, Johnny Sauter, multi-time champion and just a multi-time winner as well. He's got 5 already this year. I don't think Tyler could be going to a better team.
Yeah, I mean, there's no better person in the Truck Series to learn from than Johnny Sauter. He's a short track master. He's a master at Martinsville. I think you're in a good situation there.
Cisco, when you look at the Truck Series this year, I mean, it's been, you're tempted to say that it's a Johnny Sauter benefit series, but it hasn't really been that way at all. It's been one of the more competitive years in the Truck Series in a while, actually. I think the competition's far deeper this year, and a lot of opportunities for Tyler to come in and make a great first impression here.
Well, certainly, and I think this is a series that is looking to find a little bit more of an identity, Tom, and it's something you and I have talked about a lot as of late. The fact that we want to see the Truck Series go to a little bit more shorter tracks. We want to see it get more of that kind of short track mentality. And I know, Dipple, you've spent a long time and basically made your career up to this point making it work on those shorter tracks. So, I think myself, along with Tom, Brett, and a bunch of people want to see you be able to bring that kind of short track mentality and bring that into the Truck Series so we can see that a little bit more, Tom.
Yeah, I agree. And Tyler, I think one of the things that I'm sure you're thinking about right now is, okay, I've never run at Martinsville, right? You've never been to that track. Talk a little bit about what you're doing to prepare for that first race.
Just getting in the sim and stuff, doing that kind of work, watching film, prepping that kind of way. And, short tracks, for me anyway, I think are a lot easier to pick up than, say, Texas or a Homestead. First couple laps out there, you normally get it right away. But so I think we'll pick it up pretty quick. I think the biggest thing for me to learn in these 4 races is going to be the air of the bigger tracks.
I was going to say, because that and the fact that the trucks are just different anyway. I mean, completely different in terms of how they drive and the whole center of gravity, that kind of thing, right?
Yeah, I've been talking to a couple of people. They say they're the easiest thing to drive by yourself, but when you get behind someone, boy, they're a handful because that dirty air just takes all the downforce right away from them.
Well, I would imagine maybe then in some ways they may feel just a slight bit more like your big block modified you're used to driving up north. You just don't want to be sliding these corners.
Yeah, no, I'm excited for it. You know, it's going to be really, really fun. I can't wait until Martinsville. I wish I was running Dega, but I'll probably be down there. But, yeah, just super cool opportunity.
Okay, so you're running Martinsville, and then you go to
Texas,
Phoenix, and Homestead.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Of those 4 tracks, I got to believe Martinsville's the one you're looking forward to the most, right?
Yeah, I would say all of them, you know, because, you know, Phoenix, I think will run really good there, and I can't wait to get to Homestead, get right up on that fence up there. That'll be really cool, too. So.
Yeah, I'm sure it will. Now, in terms of support and sponsorship, I mean, tell me a little bit about how this has all come together and you know, any shout-outs that you want to make along those lines.
Yeah, just want to thank Team Chevy and GMS. We're working on a couple things about to get released, so that'll be coming up in the short future here. But as of right now, I'd just like to thank those guys, and we got a couple more announcements coming really soon.
Well, it should be a great opportunity. Jerry Baxter is just one of the best ever in the sport. I mean, you couldn't be going into a better situation to move up to the trucks with Jerry and then guys like Johnny Sauter to learn from.
Yeah, it's not just that they're amazing crew chiefs, what they are. They're also really, really good teachers.
Yeah.
And it's like that's what someone like myself needs. I need someone to be able to coach me through it, and Jerry is really good at that.
Well, I'm sure he is. I mean, what is he teaching you? What are you learning so far about, you know, the differences between what you're driving and the K&N type car and what the truck is going to be?
He's prepping me as much as I can, you know, telling me what I'm supposed to feel and what to expect at these tracks like this. It's kind of hard to give you a straight answer since I've never really been in one right now, but he's prepping me as much as he can, and I think he's doing a really good job. I mean, I don't think really anything's comparable to Eldora, but so
that's right. I forgot you ran Eldora. Yeah,
it'll be like a first start, I guess, because it's not even really close.
Well, yeah, you were fast at Eldora, but you broke some stuff too. So
we're fast there, just not the finish line.
Yeah, that was not one of the better races for you, but you have had a good season for the most part, though, running in the K&N Pro Series East. You know, you and Tyler Ankrum, between the two of you, have pretty much been, you know, 1-2, or at least, you know, right up there. And unfortunately for you, Tyler got the championship, but you certainly, you know, have been there and I think proved that you belong in a truck, or, you know, having that opportunity.
Yeah, no, for sure. Both are. Our qualifying average and average finished under top 5 were average on that. Yeah. So we've been running up front. It's just, you know, we had a couple parts failures, ran out of gas leading at Iowa, led every lap there, then ran out of fuel. So we've just had some bad luck this year that, you know, he hasn't, which allowed him to gap us a little bit. We've been really fast. You know, we've ran really good this year. It's just those couple little things that really hurt you running for a championship.
What was it like working with David Gilliland?
He was working with David Gilliland and Chris Lawson. They're probably like the 2 best crew chief owner pair that I've worked with so far in my asphalt racing career.
Wow.
Yeah, they're really.
Those guys know their stuff over there.
Yeah, because Chris Lawson, he's just a super great crew chief. And, you know, even David, like when we go testing, you know, it's like when we were at New Hampshire for the first time, it's just like if you don't know exactly what you're feeling, he's like, hey, Tyler, you know, let me jump in this thing real quick. You know, he's raced so many times. He goes out there 2 laps. He's like, yeah, that's what you were feeling. He just tells you how to describe it a little bit more because he's been there. And they've all been really, really helpful for me this year and developing me as a driver more.
Well, and I can imagine now, obviously, stepping up into the trucks, and like we talked about with Jerry and the guys at GMS, and having, having Johnny and Justin and some of those guys, and you've got Sheldon Creed coming in as well, and Sheldon's obviously had a wide variety of experience, so you got a lot to draw from going up there.
Oh yeah, no, I'm excited because I'm friends with Sheldon and Store up there, and even JJ a little bit, and Johnny, I've been picking his brain, so I think our whole team's going to really gel together really quick here, and I'm excited, man. I'm pumped up.
I can tell, Tyler. I haven't seen you smiling like this in a long time. So we're excited for you, and congratulations on the opportunity.
Thank you.
Look forward to seeing what you could do starting at Martinsville. Finishing out the 2018 season in the Camping World Truck Series will be Tyler Dipple, and we appreciate you stopping in and chatting with us for a bit here tonight. And we've got a busy show coming up here. Brett Guzik in studio with us to talk NASCAR Cup changes for next year. We've got 2 more guests lined up, and Ryan Vargas and Myatt Snyder back with more right after this.
Do you love the sound of high revving motors and the smell of burning rubber? Do you want to get your car sideways right at the ragged edge of control? If you've always wanted to try drifting or learn to improve your drifting skills, Summit Point Motorsports Park, the Mid-Atlantic's premier motorsports facility, has the expert instructors and the specialized track to teach you how to drift and the skills necessary to drift competitively. From skid pad to open sessions, Summit Point Motorsports Park has the safe and open environment that allows drifters of all skill levels, new to intermediate, to get sideways and smoking. With a focus on safety and the skill set necessary to drift competitively, Summit Point Motorsports Park's Drift Nirvana is just the thing for you. Call for your reservation today, 304-725-8444. Or for more information, go online, summitpoint-raceway.com, or you can email them at office@bsrinc.com. Drift Nirvana, getting you sideways the right way.
HMS Motorsport is the leader in motorsport safety. HMS serves the majority of Monster Energy NASCAR Cup, Xfinity, Camping World Truck, IndyCar, and IMSA WeatherTech teams, as well as countless SCCA and club-level racers and driving enthusiasts throughout North America. Featuring world-renowned brands like Schuberth helmets, Schroep belts, Adidas suits and shoes, Lifeline fire systems, and even Racecom radio kits, HMS has the right product for your type of racing and your budget. Their representatives are experts on only one thing, making your track driving as safe as possible. With locations in Mooresville, North Carolina, and Danvers, Massachusetts, the HMS staff is always ready to take the time to help you find the right product for your safety needs. Don't settle for second when it comes to motorsport safety. Stop in to HMS Motorsport. Visit them on their website at hmsmotorsport.com or send them a message on Facebook and tell them the folks from PMN Radio sent you.
What an awesome game. What's up with your car? I don't know. It won't start. How are we getting home? Chill. My parents signed me up for the roadside assistance from Lewis Meineke. It was free with my oil change. They'd come and get the car started or get us home and tow the car to the shop.
Good to know. With my driving, my parents never know what to expect.
When you join the Meineke Car Care Club with a $35 preferred service, you get 4 free months of roadside assistance, including tire change, battery jump, lockout service, towing, and more. Contact Lewis Meineke, located on Route 1, or call 827-2054.
When do you think of a plumber? Like most people, even if it's an emergency, you can be confident about who will arrive to help you. For quality and reliability, count on someone you can trust. Call on the plumbing services of Hague Quality Water of Maryland. Plumbing doesn't have to be an emergency. We handle all kinds of preventative maintenance too. Hague Quality Water of Maryland is family owned here in Annapolis since 1993. For a refreshing choice, call us at 888-84-WATER or visit us online.
COPD, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, is a lung disease that robs people of their ability to breathe. As many as 24 million Americans suffer from COPD, also known as chronic bronchitis or emphysema, and half of them don't know they have the disease. If you or someone you love is over 35 and has smoked more than 100 cigarettes in their lifetime, visit driveforcopd.org and take the screener, then take that to your doctor. I'm Jeff Stoltz, and I drive for COPD.
Hi, I'm Chase Cabrey, and you're listening to Race Talk on the Performance Motorsports Network. Now, back to the show.
Welcome back to Motorsports Madness. Here on, we are live on Spreaker and the Performance Motorsports Network, as well as our Race Chaser Media Facebook page. And you can hear the show on demand, usually by Friday morning, actually probably midnight Thursday nights in the Eastern time zone. You can hear it on demand on most of the top podcast platforms. Just search Race Chaser Radio. And, of course, we are also proud to be syndicated worldwide via the Sports Byline USA network and to the American Forces Radio Network. And we've got about 33, I think, or 34 AM/FM affiliates across the country now that we're up to, which we're really excited about and thankful for. And lots of stuff going on here in the studio tonight and on the show. And want to talk with Brett Guzik here from Front Row Motorsports. He is the shop engineer. NASCAR has had some major changes that they're making for 2019 in the way of the package for the Cup Series. And I'm finding this interesting, Brett. I mean, we had the All-Star race this past year, and I think the majority of us thought that was just awesome. I mean, it was something we hadn't seen in a while. Lots of passing, lots of side-by-side, lots of stuff going on, and nobody got too far away, a lot of lead changes, whatever. Then NASCAR said, well, let's just go ahead and take this. We'll make a few little tweaks, and let's throw it into about 17 races in 2019, which I think was a bit more than a lot of us were expecting. Can you sort of break down for us in a nutshell what we're doing here with the tapered spacer versus the plate and the difference in horsepower, and kind of talk from your point of view about what you think this is actually going to do for the competition?
So what I think NASCAR is trying to do is deliver a rules package which delivers the type of racing that the fans want to see. They want to see pack racing. They want to see people side by side more often. They want to see cars be able to pass each other at will. And I think this package is one of the proposals that they've been looking for a little bit.
Well, okay, so when we go to Daytona for the 500, it's business as usual pretty much.
Yes.
We're still going to run the plate.
Yep.
But then for the other three races, the two at Talladega and the July Daytona race that we normally run the restrictor plate for, we're not running the plate. We're running a tapered spacer. What is the difference? As a fan, I want to know what's going to be different about that.
So with the tapered spacer, it goes on the intake, and it kind of controls the flow of the air. And obviously it restricts the air a little bit, very similar to the style that the restrictor plate does. But I believe it does enhance the acceleration of the cars. It allows them to be able to suck up to each other a lot more effectively than the restrictor plate does. And I think what you'll kind of see is something very similar to the Truck Series kind of racing, where they have a very big hole in the air, but they also can suck up to each other very quickly.
Interesting. Okay. Cisco, I think you had a question for Brett.
Yeah, I have a couple of them, because looking at this and you get more into the technical details, the more this kind of gets a little bit confusing. So if you'll follow me off on this tangent for a little bit, Brett, the thing that threw me off is the fact that we basically have three packages. We have 550 horsepower with air ducts, we have 550 horsepower without air ducts, and we have 750 horsepower without air ducts. Now, your 550 packages, you use those on basically anything bigger than 1.2 miles. So anything from a Kansas all the way up to an Indianapolis. But they only run without ducts when we have 550 horsepower at four of the tracks: Pocono, Atlanta, Darlington, and Homestead. Now, the thing threw me off, Brett, was the fact that why is Atlanta part of that when Vegas, Charlotte, and Texas are all, that cookie-cutter track? Explain the difference there. Why did NASCAR feel the need that they need to regulate no ducts at Atlanta, whereas we go to Vegas the week later and we have ducts?
I think the style of racing that you see at Atlanta is certainly a little bit different than the other cookie cutters. Atlanta, the tires wear out, the driving gets hard for the drivers, the cars don't handle as well. They don't always get as easy of a run to suck up on the car ahead of them. I think that's kind of where they're leaning towards when they decided to not run the brake ducts at those kind of tracks.
And that's and that's interesting. The other thing, Tom, that this screams to me is the fact that we're going to Daytona and we're also going to Talladega with air ducts. That means no restrictor plate, right?
Yeah, that means no restrictor plate, right? So, I mean, what's this going to look like at 550 horse, Brett? I mean, this just seems like I think a lot of people are getting the idea that we're going to be going a whole lot slower, which I feel like we probably are. I don't personally know if that's a big deal to me. I want to see good competition. I don't care if we're running 200 miles an hour. But from the driver's point of view, is this good or bad?
From the driver's point of view, I think they would love to see them be able to run, the old 870 horsepower, 900 horsepower configuration. But I think this allows the drivers to be able to battle each other more often than not during a run in the races.
Are we going to be looking at a situation where we have to lift? I mean, this is because I think this is the thing that everybody looked at is you run the mile and a half like. At Charlotte, for example, during the All-Star race, people were saying, we got the foot to the floor, and we're not really lifting. I mean, we're surely not going to see that sort of a thing now, right? We're gonna have to use both pedals.
I think as the tires wear out, I think it will kind of look very similar, like I've said, the Truck Series at Vegas, that kind of feel to it, where they can kind of draft up on each other. Sometimes they have to let off. People kind of rotating who's got tires, who doesn't have tires, kind of able to get better runs on certain people. I think that's kind of how the style of racing that's going to happen, in my opinion.
And there's also a cosmetic side to this, Tom, because we talk about that NASCAR went from a 2.375-inch spoiler, which is, it's two maybe 3 inches or so, if you can visualize that. They're going to an 8-inch spoiler. And the splitters are going from a 1/4 inch to 2 inches. These cars are going to look different, Tom.
They are going to look different, and I'm trying to be open-minded about this. I mean, it seems kind of funny when you think about it that you take a series. We've talked about. There's a series here in the on the East Coast called the Super Cup Stock Car Series. Basically, old Hooters Pro Cup cars and K&N cars, ARCA cars that have 600 horsepower motors. It seems kind of unfathomable that in a lot of the Cup races next year, the Super Cup Series motors are going to be more powerful than the horsepower that the Cup cars are putting out. But I think we're trading horsepower for throttle control, right, Brett? Is that how I'm interpreting this? So that
I believe we're kind of trading it for momentum, throttle control, that style of racing. Just think that next year the Xfinity cars will have more power than the Cup cars do. I don't think
it's crazy.
The higher-ups at NASCAR maybe 30 years ago would have ever seen that kind of thing happen.
Yeah, how could we have done this? And again, I say this just musing. How could we have done this with the high horsepower? How could we have kept the high horsepower and still somehow made for better racing on these mile-and-a-half tracks, Brett? What would have been the answer there?
See, that's the whole question is what is the answer? Obviously, everybody has their opinions. Everybody has engineering knowledge, political knowledge, general fan knowledge.
No politics
Reddit
on
knowledge,
this show.
Anybody's knowledge. But I feel like that there's a lot of opinions out there. There's a lot of engineering behind it. I think they went with a package that they thought is the best package for the time being.
Well, it's going to be very interesting. I mean, we all, I think probably 3/4 of us thought the Roval was going to be a terrible race, and it turned out to be just the opposite. It was one of the best I've seen in a long time. And so I think we all sort of look at this like, let's just wait and see how this works out. We're not really going to see this, any of this until Atlanta, right, Brett?
Yeah, you're going to see the 550 horsepower package, big spoiler, no brake ducts at Atlanta, brake ducts at Las Vegas, and that's kind of where the whole complete package is going to start, is at Vegas.
And so basically Daytona is going to be business as usual.
Yes. Yeah, it's going to be very similar. Business
as usual. It should be very interesting, Cisco. I'm really there's enough different things going on with this, not to mention the fact that Brett pointed out to me that they actually took away the adjustable track bar for next year, which is really interesting. I don't think a whole lot of people have been talking about that.
No, that is a big change, Tom, and I think ultimately that's going to take some of the control out of the driver's hands, and I think ultimately I see this package as kind of doing that on a global scale because these cars are all going to be bunched up together. Yes, I personally, I think with the added downforce, probably a little bit easier to drive, but it's going to force these guys to have to deal with each other more often on track.
Brett, quick thought on that comment?
Certainly. I mean, when they take this track bar away, it's going to take it out of the driver's hands. They're not going to be able to adjust the balance of the car over the run, and there's going to be a lot of complaining drivers.
Well, it's not a bad thing, though. I mean, if the drivers can't adjust it, they got to drive it the way it is, and I think that's part of letting the best drivers come out. We've got much more with Brett Guzik. We've got Ryan Vargas coming up, and also we're going to be talking here in a moment to Myatt Snyder. Back with more after this.
Okay, so Sarah, I'm dropping you off at Emily's?
Yep.
And Josh, you're going to?
Soccer, Dad. Soccer practice.
Right. Oh, by the way, I just wanted to let you know when I pick you both up, I'll be wearing my short shorts.
What?
No!
Yep, and my dorky dad hat, and I'm gonna do my dad dance for all your friends. They'll love it!
Seriously? Why?
Because I like my short shorts. Of course, I could be talked out of it if you guys would just buckle up your seatbelts without giving me a hard time.
It's important to get your kids to buckle up for safety, no matter what it takes. And sometimes, all it takes is your parental powers of persuasion.
Okay, we're buckling up.
See, all buckled.
Good choice. I'll just have to do my dad dance at dinner time. What?
No!
Do what you have to make sure your kids are wearing their seatbelts, even on short drives. Never give up until they buckle up. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council. Visit safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup for more information.
Parents, your son or daughter has had their license for a while now, but you want to make sure they're prepared for any situation they may face on the road. High school driver's ed doesn't teach them to drive defensively. They need to be prepared for any highway emergency. For less than a month's insurance, and a whole lot less, BSR instructors at Summit Point Motorsports Park in nearby Summit Point, West Virginia, will teach your son or daughter how to respond instantly and positively to unexpected situations on the road. BSR's specialized accident avoidance training teaches swerve to avoid maneuvers at highway speed, ocular driving, which focuses driving attention on ways to avoid accidents, vehicle dynamics and feedback, skid control and skid recovery, threshold braking on straights and progressive braking on curves, and off-road recovery techniques. This is stuff driver's ed simply doesn't teach. So call BSR today, 304-725-8444. Give your kid the skill set needed to drive safely and responsibly on the highway. That's 304-725-8444.
This is a test to find out if you know it all when it comes to children. Name one of the leading killers of U.S. children age 1 to 13. What's the best way to protect children in a car crash? At what age and size should a child start using a booster seat?
Don't assume you know it all when it comes to car seats for your child. Go to safercar.gov/the-right-seat and know for sure. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Noah Gregson, and you're listening to Motorsports Madness on PMN, the Performance Motorsports Network.
Welcome back to Motorsports Madness. As we continue along, we've got now Myatt Snyder joining us via the Race Chaser radio hotline. And good to have Myatt on the program. I believe this is the second time we've had him on with us, not for a long time, though. So welcome back, Myatt, and good to have you back on the program. There are three things about Sandusky, Ohio that I really like. One of them is Sandusky Speedway. The second one is they've got one of the most amazing amusement parks in the country with Cedar Point. The third thing is your race team that you drive for, Thor Sport Racing. Good to have you joining us from Sandusky tonight, and talk a little bit about your season so far with Thor Sport.
Yeah, it's been quite a season for my rookie year. We've had some great runs. Like the first Vegas, we about near won the race, and we've had some runs where we could have improved, but that's all part of the teething process of
being in my rookie truck ride, but I wouldn't have wanted to do it with any other team. I actually am up in Sandusky, Ohio right now, and I enjoy coming up here and seeing everybody, especially for one of my favorite races of the year, which happens to be Talladega. So it's gonna be a good time at Talladega. I think we'll have a great run, and I've just absolutely had a blast this year so far with ThorSport.
Do you feel like this has been the year that you expected coming in, and that's kind of part A? Part B is, has there been anything about this year that's really taken you by surprise?
Well, yeah, there's definitely some things that I've learned with the ins and outs of being full time. Because coming before this, I had 2 years of part time racing in the Camping World Truck Series, and as well as the ARCA Racing Series.
Yep.
That being part time didn't necessarily prevent me from having success. I won my first ARCA start, and then had a best finish of third at Talladega with KBM. So just being in the loop full time, running every race, definitely has taught me a whole lot about racing. More so than all of my previous years. Because once you get to a national touring series like the Camping World Truck Series, there's 90% of the people you're racing are professionals, and you're just learning so much. So just being able to be there on the truck all the time has been an absolute blast, and I've just learned so much, and I couldn't have done it without ThorSport.
Have you had a track up to this point that you've just really kind of walked away going, man, that place just beat me up? Yeah,
I definitely think the concrete racetracks of like Dover and Bristol have definitely given me a butt whooping, but that's all part of learning.
Yeah.
I think I came in there with a mindset, and of course, I had run the short track nationals in my late model, so I had an idea of what the track would be like, and as far as the trucks go there, they're totally different. So being able to go there, being able to learn like that, was just really helpful. So I think we've put that in the notebook, and hopefully we can use that for next year.
Oh, for sure. And you've got some really, really knowledgeable teammates there at ThorSport that I'm sure have helped you a ton in your adjustment.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got, Matt Crafton, who's been racing the trucks, for, God, it feels like 15 plus years now. And I've got Grant Enfinger, who's got just as much racing experience across all different kinds of types. And Ben Rhodes, who has been, had his speed in his own right. So all these guys have been great to lean on, and have definitely made that transition to being a full-time driver a lot easier.
Has there been one of the three that really has kind of been your go-to guy, or is it kind of just whoever's handy, or maybe different ones at different tracks?
Yeah, I think, Matt Crafton has definitely the most all-around skill. Grant Enfinger has, or not skill, yes, skill, but
experience,
more
so
experience.
Yeah.
He's been around for so many races. Grant Enfinger is, he's the thinker out of all of us. He's definitely the one who is, thinking at every moment behind the steering wheel. So I try and pick his brain a bunch, say, well, what would you be thinking in that scenario? And then Ben Rhodes, I think, has been a big help too. He's just helped me to make that transition from being the rookie driver to being an experienced driver. So he's been a big help, and I've become a pretty good friend of his too. So that's it's all been good. I've leaned on them pretty equally.
Well, Maya, I wanted to get a chance to ask you about your Twitter story, actually, because there's a very interesting video that ended up on that. You, of course, were up in the suites for the Roval race, and it was quite the reaction up there when you got to see the end of the Cup race.
Yeah, I think we were the only suite that day that got a noise complaint. But yeah, everybody was just on the edge of their seats because it had been a good race all day, and then for the race to come down to that, Jimmy Johnson trying to pull a Hail Mary on Truex and it not working, and then Ryan Blaney ended up winning the race because of that. It just kind of broke the it kind of set us all off. So we were all, just hooting and hollering, screaming, and I think my buddy Dalen was was about the last out of all of us, and so it was a good old time. We it was pretty lit.
What?
Yeah, I mean, it looked as much, Tom.
Yeah, I'm sure from the video that you guys were having a lot of fun. What overall did you think of the Roval from a driver's point of view, Maya? And would you like to see a truck race on the Roval?
I would absolutely love to see a truck race there because it would help to close up the gaps in the schedule a little bit. Because obviously the truck schedule has quite a few off season or off races,
weeks,
off weekends.
Yeah.
And it would add another road course to the schedule. We have one road course where we go up to Canada, which is great because it's exclusive to the trucks. But to get us there with another companion race, I think would be amazing. And I thought the racing was really good. It wasn't gimmicky by any means. It was good hard racing, and it showed because it came down to a great finish. So I think that the trucks could put on just as good of a show.
So from trucks to a little bit of late model action, you were one of the many drivers who headed out to Martinsville here. What was it, a couple weeks ago now, for the Valley Star Credit Union 300. Talk a little bit about that one from your perspective. You got all the way back to the top 10 after getting spun lap number 1. So it was a long day for you guys, but tell us a bit about it.
Yeah, not even lap number 1. It was lap half. We're going into 3, and I see somebody try and dive 3 wide, and I was like, oh, no, not now. And then from that point on, I was kind of going for a ride. So I did get spun out, unfortunately, and had to go back to, I think, like 40th. But eventually I had made my way to the top 10 with 2 to go, and unfortunately it had been pushing water kind of all night, and I figured there was just enough left for it to make it with just 2 laps left. And it was good to go at the start of the restart, but then right midway through it the motor started giving up. So unfortunately that kind of put an end to our night, which was a shame because we had a great run going, making it all the way through the field like that. So one day we'll get some luck and convert our speed into a win, but until then we'll just have to keep our noses to the grindstone and keep digging. But we had a great run in our Ford Fusion.
Well, we talked to Langley Austin on Monday on the Stock Car Show about some of the atmosphere that was kind of around that from a driver's perspective, especially kind of at the end there. Just tell us a little bit about what was that like, because it seemed like, at least watching from the stream side of things, everything was just everybody was losing their mind there for a little bit.
Yeah, well, it's an intense race, It's one of it is the biggest late model race in all of late model stock racing. So, we all take this race seriously. We all try and bring our best equipment there, and we all try and prepare the hardest for that. So everybody's got a lot of blood, sweat, and tears on the line for this, and it's evident by people's reactions based on what happened. I saw, after I was out of the race, I got to watch the last 18 laps that were in overtime, and I saw Lee Pulliam come by to his trailer after the finish that happened to his 2 cars, and he obviously wasn't happy about it. He threw his water bottle on the ground and wasn't saying a word to anybody. So everybody just pours so much effort into it, so much heart into it, and it shows, and everybody's trying every move that they can to get to the front, and sometimes it just doesn't work out for people.
Is it something that you're going to try and run as much as you can going forward, or once you get a little bit higher up, are you just not sure if you're going to have the time?
Well, it depends. Obviously, with it being the Roval weekend, it is a little bit easier to make now, since everything's close by. But I want to support short track racing as often as I can. No matter what stage of career I'm at. I like how Denny has his short track showdown every now and then. I like the fact that Cup guys get involved sometimes with their local racing. So, I want to be one of those guys who helps support it and helps bring some clout to it. So I think that there's something I'll definitely be trying to stick with as I go on.
Well, we're looking forward to seeing what you can do the rest of this season, Myatt. And, of course, the next one up is Talladega. We just had Tyler Dipple on, and he's going to be running the last 4 races for GMS. But, of course, he isn't running Talladega. So I want to know from you, how do you prepare for Talladega? I mean, it's such a wild card, and it seems like once they throw the green, whatever strategy you have just goes right out the window. What's it like to race there, and how do you prepare for something like this?
Well, it's just so much different than any other race, because at a normal race, you prepare by, watching film, talking to your spotter, your crew chief, trying to figure out, what's our strategy, what do we want to try and do to get a leg up on everybody else. And, personally, me and my crew chief think about that all the time, but Talladega is different because you can't really get away from everybody else, so you have to work with your teammates to try and get advantages on the rest of the field. So, like I said, in a normal race, you're just out there by yourself most of the time, or racing with somebody, and it's anybody's game. So you get to Talladega, you're surrounded by everybody else. You're bumper to bumper, side by side, 20 rows back, and it's definitely a different ball game trying to prepare for that, because you try and think, well, I want to work with this guy, I want to work with that guy, and supposedly the truck series is trying to emphasize, going 100% all the time, trying to just get yourself to the front all the time, no lagging back or trying to do anything like that.
Right.
So it'll be interesting, seeing how it all plays out, but you definitely prepare way differently than any other race.
Oh, I'm sure. And real quick, for those who don't know, Myatt is the son of NBC Sports broadcaster Marty Snyder. What has your dad been able to teach you about the media side of the sport? I mean, I know just from listening to you, you've gotten so much better over the last few years at the interviewing and just communications in general. Talk a bit about that.
Yeah, it's just he's taught me so much about how to handle myself in front of a camera. Of course, he's got 20 plus years of experience in front of a camera, so he's kind of a knowledgeable guy to go to, and he's even led me through some media training stuff for Ford. So just being able to learn that from him has been really helpful, and I think just knowing how to handle yourself is critical. In the day and age where everything you say and everything you write down is categorized and filed away via social media or by the internet and on TV. So you just got to be so careful with what you say. And I think, some people don't realize that. They say things that, they may regret, and then they'll go back later and regret it, but then, they don't learn their lessons. So, so just being able to handle myself professionally and calmly, even when I, may not be too happy with some results or may say the wrong thing. It's just it's good to have that training and experience.
No doubt. Myatt Snyder heading to Talladega with the Truck Series to finish out his rookie year, and we appreciate you being on. Back with more Motorsports Madness after this.
When do you think of a plumber? Like most people, even if it's an emergency, you can be confident about who will arrive to help you. For quality and reliability, count on someone you can trust. Call on the plumbing services of Hague Quality Water of Maryland. Plumbing doesn't have to be an emergency. We handle all kinds of preventative maintenance too. Hague Quality Water of Maryland is family-owned here in Annapolis since 1993. For a refreshing choice, call us at 888-84-WATER or visit us online.
Here at Lewis Meineke, we're more than just your average car care center. Hey, it's Dave, your neighbor from Lewis Meineke. Whether you need an oil change, brakes, tires, or anything under the hood, we've got you covered. Take advantage of our free check engine light service as well. Yes, free. And don't forget about our free shuttle service. Never stress, we'll take care of the rest. On with life. Give us a call at Lewis Meineke, 302-827-2054.
Every 30 minutes, another innocent person is killed due to a drunk driver.
My best friend. My brother. My poor grandchild.
My sister.
My father.
My husband.
My mom.
My mommy.
Well, I've been afraid of changing, 'cause I've built my life around you.
Stop these tragedies before they happen. Don't drink and drive.
Do you love the sound of high-revving motors and the smell of burning rubber? Do you want to get your car sideways right at the ragged edge of control? If you've always wanted to try drifting or learn to improve your drifting skills, Summit Point Motorsports Park, the Mid-Atlantic's premier motorsports facility, has the expert instructors and the specialized track to teach you how to drift and the skills necessary to drift competitively. From skid pad to open sessions, Summit Point Motorsports Park has the safe and open environment that allows drifters of all skill levels, new to intermediate, to get sideways and smoking. With a focus on safety and the skill set necessary to drift competitively, Summit Point Motorsports Park's Drift Nirvana is just the thing for you. Call for your reservation today, 304-725-8444. Or for more information, go online, summitpoint-raceway.com, or you can email them at office@bsrinc.com. Drift Nirvana, getting you sideways the right way.
If you own a gun, you have a full-time responsibility. When you aren't using it, be sure it can't get into the hands of curious children, troubled teenagers, a thief, or anyone else who might misuse it. Your family, friends, and neighbors are all counting on you. Remember, always, lock it up. For more information on firearm storage safety, visit ncpc.org. This message brought to you by the National Crime Prevention Council, the Bureau of Justice Assistance, and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm NASCAR driver William Byron. You're listening to Motorsports Madness on PMN, the Performance Motorsports Network.
Welcome back to the it's Motorsports Madness. We do the stock car show on Monday night. Sometimes I forget which night of the week it is here. It's Race Chaser Radio at any rate. My name is Tom Baker. I'm joined in the Race Chaser Race City USA studios here in Mooresville, North Carolina by Brett Guzik, the shop engineer from Front Row Motorsports. We've got Cisco Scaramuza also with us via the Race Chaser Skype line from Chicago. And we have Randy Miller in the tool shed handling the production very well. And we had a chance to chat with Myatt Snyder in the last segment. And Myatt, certainly a driver that I think we're going to be hearing a lot more from as we go forward. And as he has the chance to get into the sophomore year of his Truck Series career, he is in good shape over at Thor Sport Racing to really make some gains here as we go through the last 5 races or so of this year and then into 2019. And great to have Myatt Snyder on the program. Coming up, we're going to be talking with Ryan Vargas, part of the NASCAR Drive for Diversity program and the NASCAR Next program as well. He is going to be joining us from Dover, where he's going to be competing in this weekend's NASCAR K&N Pro Series East race, the final race of the season. Tyler Ankrum has already wrapped up the championship. Basically, all he's got to do is show up and start. He doesn't really have to do that, but he will be obviously raring to go and get the win this weekend. But Ryan Vargas trying to make a statement in his final run this year for Rev Racing, and he's going to be joining us just around the turn, so stay with us. You are listening to Race Chaser Radio's Motorsports Madness, and we will be back in just a little bit with Ryan Vargas, and then more with Brett Guzik and the technical aspect of what's going on in Cup next year.
We're growing like crazy and need account reps who know their way around agencies, the internet, and social media. Got connections? Or do you know how to get to the decision makers? Are you fearless? We need you. Internet radio, or as we call it, wireless mobile radio, is rapidly becoming the place to be with almost limitless income potential. So contact us to get involved with the fastest growing professionally produced group of internet radio stations in the world. Your imagination is the only limit here. Call 717-749-0444. That's 717-749-0444. Or you can email us at scorpionradiogroup@gmail.com. You want to ask for Sue.
Okay, so Sarah, I'm dropping you off at Emily's?
Yep.
And Josh, you're going to?
Soccer, Dad. Soccer practice.
Right. Oh, by the way, I just wanted to let you know when I pick you both up, I'll be wearing my short shorts.
What?
No!
Yep, and my dorky dad hat, and I'm gonna do my dad dance for all your friends. They'll love it!
Seriously? Why?
Because I like my short shorts. Of course, I could be talked out of it if you guys would just buckle up your seatbelts without giving me a hard time.
It's important to get your kids to buckle up for safety, no matter what it takes. And sometimes, all it takes is your parental powers of persuasion.
Okay, we're buckling up.
See, all buckled.
Good choice. I'll just have to do my dad dance at dinner time. What?
No!
Do what you have to make sure your kids are wearing their seatbelts, even on short drives. Never give up until they buckle up. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council. Visit safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup for more information.
If you're a gearhead and you just can't get enough of your favorite motorsports on that channel on the cable, or you look at that Guy network and you just go, what does that have to do with me? We have the answer. Performance Motorsports Network. Right here on the internet. The best cruising tunes, the best in motorsports programming, and the best shows. We have opinionated hosts, and we like it that way. If you want to get involved, if you want to bench race, be listening for information coming up soon right here on this channel, the Performance Motorsports Network, your source for motorsports.
I'm an HRA Pro Stock Racer, Tanner Gray, and you're listening to the Performance Motorsports Network, the voice of motorsports.
So there was some news that came out within this last week that was really actually a shocker for a lot of people. Tanner Gray, who's hopefully, at least for him, going to win a championship this year in NHRA and who will be competing here in Charlotte next weekend when the NHRA series returns to our ZMAX Dragway here. Tanner's actually going NASCAR racing next year. It has been announced that Tanner and his younger brother Taylor are both going to be racing under the DGR Crosley umbrella. Tanner, I believe, is going to run a mix of K&M Pro Series East, ARCA Series, and maybe some Truck Series starts. And then Taylor, I think, is going to be doing some time in a late model. I don't think he's old enough yet to run the K&M Pro Series East, but Tanner Gray really shocking a lot of people with his decision to run, to move over to NASCAR. For those of us who have known Tanner and know about his background, he started on the ovals and actually came up through right in this area here, running at Millbridge Speedway in the oval karts and doing some sprint car racing and such. So Tanner's really not a stranger to the ovals, and I don't expect him to have very much of a difficult transition, but I do think that the idea that he's going to cross over from the NHRA really, again, took a lot of us by surprise, Cisco, and I know that we've talked about this before. I think this may be a first. I don't recall another NHRA racer who got to that level and then decided, well, I'd rather go around in a circle.
Yeah, I'm trying to think through the list. I'll have to go run some Googling and see if we can come up with anybody. But yeah, no, Tom, it is kind of unprecedented for Tanner to be like, hey, you know what? I found the top of my game, but I want to try something else. The last thing, Tom, that I can think of that's sort of similar to this, honestly, I'm going to go Travis Pastrana, just coming from a completely different motorsports background to run NASCAR. The only difference, Tanner's actually, like you said, had a little bit of experience in the past, whereas Travis came in with basically none.
Yeah, and I think that's what, the interesting thing here is you expect, because obviously of the family connection to NHRA, you just assume that Tanner's going to hang around there. But he said, you know what, 4 to 6 second bursts just aren't enough for me. So he's going back to the oval. Should be very interesting. It will be exciting to see what happens with Tanner. He's a terrific talent behind the wheel, and he's also a very quick learner. So I would expect that Tanner Gray going to have a spectacular 2019 season. I don't see a very long learning curve for him at all. You give him a couple of months in the oval track stock cars, and Tanner's going to be right up there. He's going to have the best equipment possible with DGR Crosley, and I think he's going to be right in the mix in almost anything he runs. But going to be a very interesting transition, that's for sure. And, in my opinion, unfortunate for NHRA. They need more young Tanner Grays in their series, and definitely kind of sad to see him going away from that. More of Motorsports Madness, Ryan Vargas, right after this.
You own a performance car and you know how to drive, but you want to learn real performance driving. Well, Bunky, get that car off the street and onto the track. Summit Point Motorsports Park, the Mid-Atlantic's premier road racing facility, located just over an hour from D.C. in nearby Summit Point, West Virginia, is the place to go. And you'll find that Friday at the track is going to give you what you need. For less than a monthly car payment, you can attend this regularly scheduled one-day instructional event in your street car on one of Summit Point's 3 world-class road racing circuits. You'll receive classroom instruction, skid pad instruction in their cars, including front and rear skid control, and 4 20-minute in-your-car instructional sessions from a professional instructor. Have fun, go fast, and really learn how to drive. Call 304-725-8444 for class schedules and details. That's 304-725-8444. Friday at the track at Summit Point Motorsports Park.
Every 30 minutes, another innocent person is killed due to a drunk driver.
My best friend.
My brother.
My poor grandchild.
My sister.
My father.
My husband.
My mom. My mommy.
Well, I've been afraid of changing, 'cause I've built my life around you.
Stop these tragedies before they happen. Don't drink and drive.
The Performance Motorsports Network is a compilation of shows about motorsports. From technical to controversial to just fun, everything you like about racing and gearhead stuff is right here on one internet channel. The Performance Motorsports Network. Tell your friends about it.
Hi, I'm Reed Sorensen. Racing has been a part of me and my family for as long as I can remember. I had to make tough choices early on to get to the top. It took hard work and dedication. But it's those tough choices that helped me prepare for challenges I would face as a cup driver. Make the right choices today and be ready for the challenges tomorrow. This message is brought to you by the U.S. Air Force.
Hi, I'm Matt Tift, and you're listening to Race Talk on the Performance Motorsports Network.
Welcome back. Little beachside party here inside the Race City USA Race Chaser Studios here in Mooresville, North Carolina. Welcome back to Motorsports Madness, Race Chaser Radio production. Tom Baker, Brett Guzik in studio. Cisco Scaramuza via the Race Chaser Skype line, and we've got Randy Miller in the tech shed. And I'm going to start with Brett with this. We'll talk Dover just for a little bit because, look, we're going in for the Cup Series. This is round 2. We've eliminated 4 drivers. We had the spectacular finish, obviously, at the Roval. From an engineering standpoint, what does Dover look like, and what do we expect this weekend?
A lot of drivers fighting for grip out there. I think the way Dover has laid out over the years, decreased downforce and all that kind of package has really given the drivers a handful. There's only been a few select drivers that seem like they can tame Dover, and it seems like the Stewart-Haas group, some of the Gibbs group has been able to tame it over the past couple years. But I feel like a lot of drivers slip and sliding out there.
Used to be a track that Jimmy Johnson was great at. Not to say that he isn't anymore or won't be again this weekend, but I bring that up because, he eliminated himself from round 2, unfortunately, with that last lap deal. And I think a lot of people are now going to kind of try to dismiss him. We don't have to think about Jimmy Johnson anymore. I'm going to look into our camera. Bull. Jimmy's going to be mad. From your point of view, and obviously, you've been watching and you work for Front Row, which is a Ford team, but just being objective, it seems to me the Chevys are getting better as we go here. Do you see the possibility that Jimmy Johnson pulls the stunner and gets back up and runs for the win at Dover?
It's a certain possibility. He has been top 5 more points of the races lately. I've certainly wished. I certainly think that he wishes Dover was the last race of the first round because he would have a very good shot at that. But he did have a good shot at the Roval, and
sure did.
Mistakes are mistakes. But I think that the Chevys have certainly closed the gap. I think their aero departments of all those teams have really closed the gap, and I think that they are very well in the same balance and same category as the Fords and the Toyotas now.
There is no shame, Cisco, in trying too hard, and I think that's if Jimmy Johnson's guilty of anything from the Roval, I think that's what he's guilty of, maybe just trying a little bit too hard on that last lap.
Yeah, I think, and Larry Mack agrees with me and with us on that point as well. He made a point of it this week on Race Hub, the fact that he liked to see guys going for the win like that. And at the end of the day, Tom, this is what I like drivers to be able to do, and we've seen it in the playoffs. These dramatic situations. I think it stems back for me, back to my love of one, in my opinion, was one of the best racing moments, which was Jamie Whincup and Scott McLaughlin over in Australia. Those two battling it out at the end of the Clipsal race and basically going wheel to wheel all the way until the last lap, and Scotty passing him on the last corner and winning. I got a lot of shades of that, and that's nothing but a good thing, Tom.
Well, I agree. When you look at this, you'd think. There are a lot of people saying, well, Jimmy should have just taken second. Nonsense. He was going for the win. That's what he's paid to do. And, he didn't. The idea that he took out Martin Truex is really not accurate. He spun. He lost control of the car and just clipped Truex. It was a situation where it could have just as easily been that he took himself out and Truex just goes on to win the race. But, it was a tough break for Truex, but he was in round 2. He certainly got no issues with that. I felt like, as I said on Monday night, I felt like Martin's comments were a little strong. Certainly didn't need to dump Jimmy after the race. I thought that was really disrespectful. But that's what the Roval was. As we go to Dover now, you start looking at this, and this is your typical time of year where you start seeing who the cream of the crop is. And when you look at round 2, and this is, I'm sure, Brett is aware of this too, 7 out of the 12 cars that are left in the playoffs in the Cup Series, Fords. All 4 Stewart-Haas cars, all 3 Penske cars. And, I think that says a whole lot about the Ford stable this year, particularly Stewart-Haas, and the longevity that they've had of being on top all year. And then, of course, Team Penske really rising up the last 4 or 5 races. Cisco, it looks to me like this is, this championship, I know you got Truex and Busch in there, but suddenly I'm kind of looking away from the big 3 and I'm focusing on the big 7. You got 7 Fords in there. I really think that the championship's going to be decided by one of those Fords.
It's a sea of blue, I guess, a sea of blue ovals in the shootout here into the championship. And Brett, I was going to ask you, what kind of an advantage does that give the Ford drivers for all the rest of them to being together? Obviously, when we get to Talladega, we've seen the manufacturers work together before, especially with Toyota. So I'm not going to doubt at all that the Ford guys will work together, Toyota guys will work together, and Chevrolet guys will work together. Does that extend beyond the plate tracks? Do you see that more and more kind of going into situations like this with the playoffs?
I think you do see some collaboration a little bit with the Fords at the restrictor plate tracks, but we are in the playoffs. It doesn't matter what team you're on. It doesn't matter what manufacturer you're with. You have to get to the Final Four. You're going to do whatever you can to get there.
I kind of agree with that. I mean, but I do think that the Fords are gonna have the advantage of the fact that you've got teammates, and particularly Stuart Haas. I'm not sure this has ever happened before, that we've had two organizations with every team in round 2 of the playoffs. This is a first, and we've kind of, if you look throughout the year, guys, we've seen the Ford started out as the hot hand. Then again, as we went into the summer, now the Ford stayed hot, but the Toyotas got hotter. You had Kyle Busch come back, and you had Martin Truex back in the mix. Some of the Chevys started to get faster. Team Hendrick got a little bit better, and it kind of evened out. And then, as we've gone now into the later summer, you're starting to see the Fords come back. Penske has gotten hot now. This is a really interesting dynamic from a manufacturer's standpoint, Cisco, and one that I'm not sure that we thought we'd be talking about. We've spent so much time talking about the big three, and now you sort of focus more on manufacturing, and you've got one Chevrolet. That's it. The rest are Fords. I think just one Chevrolet anyway. 2 Chevys? Okay.
Chase.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Chase Elliott. Yeah. So you've got 2 Chevys, and it's really interesting the way this is shaped out. Do you feel like as we go into now a part of the schedule where we go to Talladega, we go to Kansas, do you feel like when we go to round 3 that we're going to see how many of these Fords do you see actually being eliminated at the end of round 2, I guess is the question I'm trying to ask.
I'd have to look at, the split on that point and look at the grid a little bit more carefully to give you an exact number, but it's so hard to tell, Tom, because the biggest question mark for me is that plate race. Yes, the manufacturers are going to matter, but it's still Talladega. And
yeah.
I have this looming thing in the back of my mind, Tom, that something is just going to go horribly wrong again.
Well, that's really not much of a stretch.
I mean, yeah, to be honest, after the last plate race we had, I'm just saying.
Yeah, I mean, I look at this, and I could conceivably see all 7 of these Fords making it to round 3. When I look at the tracks that are on this schedule, obviously Talladega is a wild card, but I could see all 7 of these Fords making it to round 3. And yes, that means that either Kyle Busch or Martin Truex would not make it through. Almost inconceivable, but again, you got to look at the tracks that are there. If not, I think it's going to be at least 5 to 6 of them that are going to make it through. This is really a part of the season where this starts to get to be a lot of fun. I like Dover, and I love Talladega, and even Kansas this year is going to be a really, really interesting race, the way that these playoffs are shaping up. So we're going to step aside. When we come back, we turn from talking about Cup to talking about K&M Pro Series East, and Ryan Vargas will be joining us from Dover right after these words. You're listening to Motorsports Madness on Race Chaser Radio.
Parents, your son or daughter has had their license for a while now, but you want to make sure they're prepared for any situation they may face on the road. High school driver's ed doesn't teach them to drive defensively. They need to be prepared for any highway emergency. For less than a month's insurance, and a whole lot less, BSR instructors at Summit Point Motorsports Park in nearby Summit Point, West Virginia, will teach your son or daughter how to respond instantly and positively to unexpected situations on the road. BSR's specialized accident avoidance training teaches swerve to avoid maneuvers at highway speed, ocular driving, which focuses driving attention on ways to avoid accidents, vehicle dynamics and feedback, skid control and skid recovery, threshold braking on straights and progressive braking on curves, and off-road recovery techniques. This is stuff driver's ed simply doesn't teach. So call BSR today, 304-725-8444. Give your kid the skill set needed to drive safely and responsibly on the highway. That's 304-725-8444.
You hear that? That's the sound of America's only sports car. That's right, it's a Corvette. But not just any Corvette. It's your Corvette. It's that who cares if there's traffic part of your day. And this can be you when you come to Cooper Corvettes. With 60 years of Corvettes to choose from, there's always a Corvette in your budget. And they'll service any Corvette you bring in. Cooper Corvettes on Route 1 just north of Quantico and Triangle. Call, click, or visit coopercorvettes.com.
HMS Motorsport is the leader in motorsport safety. HMS serves the majority of Monster Energy NASCAR Cup, Xfinity, Camping World Truck, IndyCar, and IMSA WeatherTech teams, as well as countless SCCA and club-level racers and driving enthusiasts throughout North America. Featuring world-renowned brands like Schubert helmets, Schroep belts, Adidas suits and shoes, Lifeline fire systems, and even Racecom radio kits, HMS has the right product for your type of racing and your budget. Their representatives are experts on only one thing: making your track driving as safe as possible. With locations in Mooresville, North Carolina, and Danvers, Massachusetts, the HMS staff is always ready to take the time to help you find the right product for your safety needs. Don't settle for second when it comes to motorsport safety. Stop in to HMS Motorsport. Visit them on their website at hmsmotorsport.com or send them a message on Facebook and tell them the folks from PMN Radio sent you.
Hi, this is John Ondrasik of Five for Fighting, here for RAD, the entertainment industry's voice for road safety. You know, style is a personal thing, and your lifestyle is your business. But if you take it on the road, it becomes everybody's business. So please, plan ahead, designate before you celebrate. Friends, don't let friends drive drunk.
A public service announcement brought to you by RAD, the National Association of Broadcasters, and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Ben Rhodes, and you're listening to the Performance Motorsports Network, the voice of motorsports.
Welcome back. Rocking this some Jim Croce from back in the 70s. Bad Leroy Brown. Welcome back to the Motorsports Madness show here on Race Chaser Radio. Tom Baker and Brett Guzik. Jacob Seelman, the normal host of this show, is actually over in Arkansas, and he's part of the announcing crew, I think, this weekend for the I-30 Speedway Short Track Nationals. About 56 sprint cars over there for that one, so should be a lot of fun. He will be back in this studio for Monday's Stock Car Show here on Race Chaser Radio. And right now we are joined via the Race Chaser hotline from Dover, Delaware. Ryan Vargas is joining us once again. Ryan, a veteran of this show. He is in his rookie year in the NASCAR K&M Pro Series East. He is a NASCAR Drive for Diversity driver. He's a member of the NASCAR Next class, and probably 3 or 4 more things if we stopped and thought about it. You have a lot of titles for a rookie, Vargas.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely something I like to wear with a lot of pride. So it's pretty cool to, be kind of put on the spotlight like that. So, it's a real big honor.
Well, I know that you're pretty excited about this coming weekend here because you've got an opportunity to compete at Dover, and this is a type of track that you still haven't had, much of any experience on, really. The concrete style track, just a couple of shows. And what's, from your point of view, what's unique about this, and what do you do to prepare differently for this than you would an asphalt track?
Well, the biggest thing about Dover is just it's big. I mean, I went there today, and it's humongous. The banking is incredible. And I mean, I actually asked my teammates Chase and Ruben for advice leading up to this race, and they both gave me the same, piece of advice. And they said, "Be a man and hold it wide open."
Be a man.
The more I, have done my prep and everything, the more I realize, this is going to be a real big task for me. It's a totally different racetrack from everything I've done. A lot of tracks you have to set it with the brake, you release the throttle and all this stuff. Here, you spend a lot of time on the throttle. So it's going to be a big adjustment for me. It's going to be a big adjustment because I can only assume how big the air is going to be, have an effect on the cars. So I'm really anxious to get out there because I know that the 2 team has performed very well there in the past with Colin driving it.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of confidence heading into this one.
Yeah, Colin got a win a couple of years ago. That was a race where they actually didn't have any practice, just unloaded and went out and raced. And Colin showed him the short way around there. That's pretty interesting to see that sort of thing, and I love it when you kind of have one of those moments where, hey, there is no practice, just get in and drive. I'm sure as a driver that would pretty much get you totally mental.
Yeah, I could only assume, the amount of stress that are on drivers, especially that was Colin's rookie year for him as well. So, to be first time at Dover, one of the fastest track on the circuit, and to have no practice or qualifying and just go out there and have to wheel and deal in the race, that's kind of a sketchy thing to think about. But, that's one thing that as a driver you just got to be ready to adapt with.
So Ryan, I saw you have the car out. Everybody was getting the car ready to go on your social media, on the social media side of things. One look at the banking. Tell me what goes into your mind when you walk out or look at the track, or even, I don't know if you've gotten a chance to go on the track yet, but what's the first things going through your mind when you look at that banking?
The first thing that went through my head was there's a reason why they call it the Monster Mile. I mean, it's humongous. I mean, it looks like a super speedway with the banking that it has. And, I mean, with the way we drive our cars there, it pretty much is. So, like I said, I'm definitely anxious to get out there. I'm interested to see, how I will fare, for my first time on a track quite like this, to be honest. But I feel, like I said, I have a lot of confidence going in, and I know my crew chief Booker and my car chief Glenn, they put together a really good piece for me. So, it should be a really interesting race.
Have you gotten a chance to go see the Giant Miles yet?
No, I wanted to today, but we were in such a hurry to get everything unloaded and get through tech, so I never got to see Miles. But I definitely plan on making a stop tomorrow.
I was gonna say, is there gonna be a selfie of you and Miles here on the social side before we're done?
Yeah, definitely. I'm gonna make sure I get a selfie with old Miles in the front there.
So tell me, from a driver's perspective, it's an almost all concrete racetrack, and you don't have a lot of runoff areas. What are some of those challenges as a driver you're going to have to deal with in the race when it comes to race time?
Well, one thing that I've learned about Dover from watching it, growing up as a kid, and going into it, having talked to so many drivers, the biggest thing that I've learned is that it's just a self-cleaning racetrack, and that is, you go in there, and if you have an issue, and you say you do get caught up in a wreck in an unfortunate situation, there's nowhere for you to go. There's a wall on the inside, there's a wall on the outside, and that wall on the outside will come quick if you get a little bit too loose. So you definitely got to be prepared for everything at any moment. But like I said, my guys bring me a really good piece, so I feel I have a good feeling. I don't have to worry about that.
Well, the good news is, I don't know if you've seen it. I know NASCAR on NBC, I think, popped it up recently, but it is possible to save the car if you spin out of 4. If you remember old Jimmy Johnson back in 06, Tom, remember that in qualifying?
Oh,
spun
yes.
the car out of 4 and somehow miraculously kept it out of the inside wall. So it is doable there, but like Ryan says, it's pretty hard to do.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a talent like Jimmy, maybe you could do it.
Yeah, it's well, I think that takes what does Daryl say, spirits, and he's had plenty of that for sure. Ryan, you've had a real learning year in the K&M Pro Series East, but you've had some races like Iowa where you've really shown a lot of speed. What's the adjustment from the California racing scene and the late models out there to the K&M Pro Series East this year been like for you?
It's been very tough. I'm just going to be honest. It's been a very tough adjustment. But I've always seen those adjustments as something that will help me grow as a driver. And this year, I've done nothing but grow. Every time I strap into the race car, I'm at a new track, at a place I've never been, a place I've never done laps in, and in a car that I'm still so green to. So to go to these tracks and do all this stuff and to run, in some cases up front, it's a really big deal to me, and it's a real big deal to my family. I mean, this whole program that Max Siegel and NASCAR Driver University put together, it's incredible. I mean, it's opened up so many opportunities, and to be able to travel the East Coast and race these tracks and to go to these things and really just improve myself as a driver has been really important throughout this year.
Pardon me, and you've been able to, excuse me, you were selected for NASCAR Next as well, and I know that's been a big experience for you.
Yeah, like I said earlier, it really put me in the spotlight. I go to racetracks now, for cup races, and I'm just kind of there spectating, and I have people coming up to me and say, you're that driver, you're Ryan Vargas. And I'm like, yeah, I know. Like, I know I'm Ryan Vargas. And it's interesting. Like, I've never experienced anything like that because I've never had people, really care. So it's a neat experience, and I'm really blessed just for everything that NASCAR has given me and the support that I've gotten from them.
Well, yeah, it really has been fun to watch, honestly, as you've gone through this season, and it's been fun to watch you grow and have, Iowa was one of those races where, you were running really, really well and just had a little bit of bad luck.
Yeah, we had a tailpipe go through our nose, and I don't think many drivers could say they've had that before. But to come out of Iowa and run top 3 for a good portion of the race and still leave there with a solid finish with a big old parachute on the front end, I would consider that a very strong run.
Yeah, for sure. And I imagine Iowa was a ball of fun too, because there's about 27 different grooves you can run at that track. It seems like.
Yeah, it honestly brought me back to home. It brought me back to racing Irwindale back in the late model. Because
I was wondering if you were going there.
You run the top, you run the middle, you run the bottom. I mean, that's how I felt at Iowa. I was finally getting up to the 4th groove a little bit, just really trying to figure out what I could do with the car, what adjustments I could make to reel in the leaders. So it was a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed it. Yeah.
Now, has that kind of been the highlight of your season so far, running at Iowa? Has that been the sort of the defining highlight for you of all the tracks and places you've run?
Yeah, I would definitely say Iowa was a definite highlight of the season. I mean, that was where I felt really comfortable in the car. I was able to really throw the car in there and just drive it kind of like how I'm used to. I'm used to these bigger tracks where I'm able to kind of search for grooves and do all this other stuff. Whereas sometimes some of these tracks that we go to where it's just single groove, it's very challenging, and it's definitely an adjustment for me. But like I said, every track we've been to this year has been spectacular, and it's been an incredible experience, whether I run good or whether I run bad, because each time I get in, I learn. So as long as I'm learning, it's a highlight.
Well, real quick, we've got about a minute left here. I know you haven't been able to do all this by yourself, so who has helped you make it happen this far?
Well, I mean, I definitely have to thank, like I said, Max Siegel, Rev Racing, everybody at the NASCAR Driver Diversity Program, and those who have put their necks out for me to be in the NASCAR Next program and to be, like I said, in the diversity program, because it's a lot of effort, and it's really incredible to see all this effort that's being put in to see me go further in racing, because it's very hard. It's been very hard on my family. It's been very hard on me, and that's why I'm just so blessed and so thankful to be at this point, and I just keep looking forward to the future.
Well, you've got one final start here coming up this weekend, and I'm sure you're going to have a blast running at Dover, so we wish you all the best with that, Ryan, and definitely look forward to seeing what the future holds. So thanks for taking some time to chat with us here this evening on Motorsports Madness, and we look forward to watching you run this weekend.
Thank you, and you guys know I'm always welcome to come on here. I've co-hosted before. I know the whole deal. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, you're kind of part of the family. We'll get you back in the studio soon. That's Ryan Vargas, and we're going to step aside. When we come back, we've still got more to talk about here as Motorsports Madness rolls on here on Race Chaser Radio. We appreciate you being with us. We'll be back in just a moment.
How to be a great dad in 15 seconds. Bike ride, go fish, walk in the park, phone call, milkshake, play catch, picnic, fly a kite, tell jokes, laugh, talk, read a story, tell a story, bumper cars, swing set, bowling, pillow fight, cut loose, stay tight. Whew. Because the smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Automotive technicians and auto service trainees, how would you like to work at the beach and perform for one of the best car care centers in the nation? Louis Meineke is now looking for skilled automotive technicians to join their award-winning team. If you're a gearhead that knows his or her stuff, or a young up-and-comer that has the motivation and drive to succeed, then you need to make this call today. 302-827-2054. Louis Meineke Car Care Center, located in beautiful Lewis, Delaware, offers a highly competitive compensation plan, great benefits, a flexible schedule, and did we mention that you're going to be working at the beach? Plus, there's a signing bonus for the right candidates. Technicians must be ASE certified and have a minimum of 6 years experience. Beginners advance at your own pace in one of several entry-level positions. But whatever you do, don't wait. These jobs will go fast. Call Tim at 302-827-2054. That's 302-827-2054. Lewis Meineke Car Care Center. Rev up your career.
You hear that? That's the sound of America's only sports car. That's right. It's a Corvette. But not just any Corvette. It's your Corvette. It's that who cares if there's traffic part of your day. And this can be you when you come to Cooper Corvettes. With 60 years of Corvettes to choose from, there's always a Corvette in your budget. And they'll service any Corvette you bring in. Cooper Corvettes on Route 1 just north of Quantico and Triangle. Call, click, or visit CooperCorvettes.com.
How to deal with someone who says that's so gay. Outsmart them.
This party is like so gay.
Totally.
Excuse me, but did you ladies know the word gay used to mean happy or excited? Then it became a word used to describe gay people. Then somehow it came to mean dumb or stupid, which is how you just used it, which is not very nice.
Ew, that guy is on the football team and super smart, and he totally hates us now.
Totally. When you say that's so gay, do you realize what you say? Knock it off. Learn more at thinkbeforeyouspeak.com.
Hi, I'm Cole Custer, and you're listening to the Performance Motorsports Network, the voice of motorsports.
Welcome back to Motorsports Madness here on Race Chaser Radio, and we look forward to what's coming up on the rest of the Cup Series schedule, starting with Dover this weekend, and just glancing as we return to conversation about the playoffs. This being our lightning round, we kind of throw it around, ask some questions, have some debate, fight and argue once in a while, and just have a good time with this. Those of you watching us on our Race Chaser Media Facebook page, welcome to chime in here as we go, and we'll try to get some of your remarks into our conversation on air if we can. So I'm going to start, Cisco and Brett, with some conversation about the playoffs. I asked earlier, who do you think, or do you think it's conceivable that we could see all 7 Fords in the top 8 when this next round is over? So I want you to be more specific now. We're going to kind of throw out some early predictions. Who are the 4 guys who will not make round 3 in the playoffs? Who is not getting out of this round? Cisco, I'm going to start with you.
Well, I was working on my bracket a little bit here while we were talking to Ryan, and so I selected 4 drivers who, in my opinion, I don't think are going to move on, and they consist of 3 Fords, actually, and they all come from the same team.
Oh,
They're
wow.
all SHR, Tom.
Wow.
Surprisingly. Yeah.
No love for SHR. Well, who do you think the 3 of them are, and who's the other one?
Well, I have Harvick moving on into the round of 8 because points.
Because he's Kevin Harvick, basically.
Yeah, exactly. But the reason, and it wasn't to say that I don't think SHR. It's not a SHR is bad. It's I like Penske more in this group of 3 tracks, especially Talladega. And it just sticks out to me the fact that Keselowski has had a lot of success there. And Logano has found some success at Kansas, and Ryan Blaney's coming off this win at the Roval. And just those 3, I think, are going to work together on the plate track. And I feel like they'll be able to work together on some of these racetracks and really kind of stand themselves out from the rest of the pack a little bit. And I just have this feeling in my stomach. Boyer doesn't have a lot of luck on plate tracks. Kurt Busch, especially as of lately, just apart from the 500 that he won, it's not gone the way he's wanted. Almirola, I want him to move on, but I just don't think it's going to happen. And as for Alex, I mean, I only think one of those Hendrick cars is going to move on, and I like Elliott over Bowman here.
Okay, so you're saying Bowman, Almirola, Boyer, and Kurt Busch out after this round. Okay, Brett Guzik, you're on the hot seat. Who's eliminated after round 2?
This is pretty tough because I can see any of these guys going to the top 8. I mean, they all run well at all of these tracks, but I have to go with probably Eric Almirola being eliminated. He is probably the least consistent, I would say, of that group, as well as Alex Bowman not making it on. I'd also have to go with I'll go with a long shot. I'll say that Clint Boyer is not going to make it into the top 8. As well as, this is probably the toughest one, Chase Elliott won't make it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So Chase Elliott not going on. So basically, you've got 3 of the bottom 4 leaving, Kyle Larson staying, and Clint Boyer going away.
Yes.
Is the way that works out for you. All right. Well, somebody's got to be the risk taker here. I don't get too many high risk picks right, although I did pick Jimmy Johnson at the Roval, and almost, and I even went so far as to say,
You were a little break by a short there on that.
yeah, a little break by a short. It really, the result, I did also stipulate it would be after a late race, late lap pileup, which we also got. So I had the circumstance right. Jimmy got through that, but just didn't quite do it for me. I look at this top 12 here, and there are a couple of folks that I would agree with you guys on. I think Eric Almirola definitely goes away. And again, none of this is any kind of disrespect toward any of these guys, just what I see. Almirola, I think, goes away. I also agree that Clint Boyer will probably go away. I'm just going to be that guy. I'm not feeling it, honestly, for Brad Keselowski, except for Talladega. I think Talladega is the track. I know he's been good at Dover too, but I feel like Keselowski's the one that to me is just not he's had so much good luck. Yes, he's had a lot of momentum. I can see Brad going away here. I want to say Truex also goes, but I think he makes it through this round by a hair. So I'm going to say it's going to be Almirola going away, Clint Boyer going away. I think you're going to see Brad Keselowski go away. And honestly, I don't have a lot of faith in Kyle Larson. I think Kyle Larson's the other guy that goes away here. I think Alex Bowman actually, you look at Talladega, those guys are great on plate tracks. I think Alex Bowman actually runs really well at Kansas and surprises a lot of people there. Bowman gets into round 3. Not sure he gets out of there, but he gets in. This is really going to be an interesting round. Talladega is a wild card, and I feel like you can say all you want to, Cisco, about, well, this guy did this guy did that or does that on a plate track, but they also could just as easily be caught up in a big wreck as working together to get a win.
Yeah, and that's the big risk I take, but I've found it very hard as of recently to bet against Brad Keselowski on plate tracks, especially in this format. I mean, we talk about last year he made it happen.
Yeah,
in 2016 he won there in the springtime. He won there in the fall in the fall race in 2014. He also won the 2 other times he won was in 2012, and then, that 2009 race that might have happened, the Carl Edwards thing. But
yeah, I'd have
nonetheless,
to agree with you there.
It's very hard, Brett, for me to pick against Brad Keselowski on a plate track.
Yeah, the numbers don't lie, and he's got that buffer there. He's got, 12 points over 8th place right now. So
he's going to, sooner or later, his luck is going to run out. I mean, I don't think we see him go all the way through the playoffs with a hot hand. The whole season hasn't gone that way. Somebody gets hot for 3 or 4 weeks and then they level off again. And before Keselowski got hot, he was not the Brad Keselowski we're used to seeing, and none of Team Penske were. I don't have a ton of faith in Joey Logano over the long haul, but I do think that Logano runs well at Dover, as does Brad Keselowski. But something about this for me, for Brad this year, just doesn't. I feel like the luck's going to run out here. But again, have no issue saying that Brad's best shot is Talladega, and I think if he can go and win there, that changes the winds of direction for him considerably. Because if you get him to Homestead, he's going to give you a fight. But I just don't see it for him. We always have one upset. We saw it with Jimmy Johnson at the Roval. Talladega is a wild card. You can look at this and you can say, well, these are the 3 guys or the 4 guys that should be the best. And, we've got a wild card in every round this year. Certainly Talladega is the wild card in this round. And I'm just picking one kind of out of the trees and saying that, okay, it's Keselowski's turn to have some bad luck instead of some good luck, and he gets eliminated. Again, there's a buffer. There's not really much of a buffer here when you consider the 3 races, because Talladega can erase a lot of points if you go out in a big wreck on lap 5. Cisco.
And, Tom, one more thing to note. Of course, we go to Talladega. Ricky Stenhouse is in the field. Just, we have to worry about it a little bit. I'll ding him one more time for it, but
we definitely have to worry about Ricky.
Like, what are we dealing with here?
Yeah, we don't know whether good Ricky or bad Ricky will show up at Talladega, and maybe a little bit of both. But certainly he's capable of running up front. And again, Talladega's a race where there's about 30 cars out of the field that are capable of winning, because it's just about survival, guys. And I think that this year, the way the playoffs are shaping up, and with some of the drivers like Blaney, who I feel like is really confident now going into this round, I could almost see Blaney pulling another win off before we get out of the round. And if he does that, that changes fortune considerably for him too. He's getting hot at the right time. I feel like Keselowski has had a great run here. I just don't know if he can keep it up. If he goes and wins Talladega, we may be talking about him as being the guy for the championship. But we're going to see somebody in the top 4 right now. We're going to see one of those top 4 out after round 2. I'll make that prediction, and I'm calling Keselowski as being the guy.
Yeah, it's weird, Tom, because Talladega isn't a playoff race. Or it isn't an elimination race.
No.
But it still feels like an elimination race.
Well, I think in a lot of ways it can be, Brett.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking earlier. I said it's win and you're in. It's go or go home. You go big or go home.
Yeah, if you see one of these guys in the bottom 4, if Alex Bowman or whomever ends up going and winning Talladega, the whole equation changes as we go into Kansas, because – this, again, it just all depends on what happens there. I feel like you're going to see, this weekend at Dover, I feel like you're going to see the usual suspects up there. I don't see any big surprises coming out of Dover, but I think it's when we go to Talladega that everything starts to get scrambled, and I think you could see a lot of what we saw at the Roval. I don't care where you put Talladega in the second round of the playoffs. Whether it's an elimination race or it's not, it still functions that way, because the big crash can eliminate anybody at any time, Cisco.
I'm almost wondering, Brett, do you think some of these guys are going to take it nice and just easy and won't even, try to do too much at Talladega before the end, kind of like what we've seen with plate races? Or do you think, once things start to kick off, everybody's just going to go mental? As someone who works with these teams, what is the mentality going into a race like this where it's so unpredictable? One flinch and the field could be just gone.
Yeah, I mean, you see now I'm a little fired up. I mean, this is like March Madness style.
This is you fired up?
Yeah, this is me fired up. Very monotone.
Need about a 6-pack of Red Bull.
Yes. This is like March Madness. You could have that 16 seed beat the 1 seed. You could have, a Eric Almirola and Alex Bowman go out there and win Talladega. It's not really that far-fetched. I mean,
it really isn't. And in fact, Almirola is a guy that you kind of look at and say, well, shoot, he's really good on the plate track. So, we probably shouldn't be so quick to dismiss him. But again, it's a wild card, and you're averaging 3 races here. Unless one of those guys wins, somebody's leaving. I don't know that Clint Boyer, honestly, I don't think he goes into Dover and wins. He could run real well at Kansas. I could see that happening for sure. Win, not sure. I just feel like there's a couple of those guys that are going to have to show a little more than what they have on the 1.5 mile part of this, because, of course, Talladega is what it is. You never know what could happen there. I mean, shoot, Front Row Motorsports has won a plate race before. I'm not counting David Reagan out.
Yeah, I wouldn't count us out either. I mean, you saw at Daytona, Michael McDowell led 30 laps.
And McDowell, yeah, that's right. Yep.
So certainly we'll be trying to stick together and hopefully we'll be at the front when the time comes.
It will be interesting. Definitely going to be a wild race, but we've got Dover first. And, oh, by the way, if you're going to Dover, you can now bet on the race. We don't have time to get a lot of detail into that, but certainly something to talk about going forward here, because it looks like that could become more prevalent as we go on into 19 and beyond, as more states legalize gambling. I don't know if it's good or bad, but it's going to be an option this weekend at Dover. With that, we're going to step aside. When we come back, just a couple of minutes to wrap things up here on Motorsports Madness. You're listening to Race Chaser Radio, and we will be right back.
Here's an important message from RAD and this station.
Hi, this is Bob Sheehan from Blues Traveler for RAD, recording artists against drunk driving. I like to party just as much as the next guy, maybe even more, but the one thing I won't do after I've had a few is get in the car and drive. Don't blow it. Always choose a designated driver. Remember, music lives, and so should you.
Motorsports Sales Professionals. Performance Motorsports is looking to build a team of experienced media sales professionals to represent our programming to the industry's top companies, magazines, and racing series. If you have motorsports sales or marketing experience, know how to work with agencies, understand social media, and are incredibly creative when it comes to working with clients and promotions, then we want to hear from you. Top performers are richly rewarded. Your imagination is the only limit here. Call 717-749-0444. That's 717-749-0444, or email us at scorpionradiogroup@gmail.com. You want to ask for Sue.
You are a waste, a loser. Everyone hates you. Why don't you just stay in your car and keep driving? I'm serious. Drive until you run out of gas, then get out of your car and walk until you find someone who doesn't think you're dumber than bricks. Could take a while, but at least all that walking might burn a couple of calories.
You may not witness bullying like this every day. Your kids do. They want to help, but they don't know how. Visit stopbullying.gov to learn safe, simple ways your child can help stop bullying. Be more than a bystander at stopbullying.gov. A message from the Ad Council.
You own a performance car and you know how to drive, but you want to learn real performance driving. Well, Bunky, get that car off the street and onto the track. Summit Point Motorsports Park, the Mid-Atlantic's premier road racing facility, located just over an hour from D.C. in nearby Summit Point, West Virginia, is the place to go. And you'll find that Friday at the track is going to give you what you need. For less than a monthly car payment, you can attend this regularly scheduled one-day instructional event in your street car on one of Summit Point's 3 world-class road racing circuits. You'll receive classroom instruction, skid pad instruction in their cars, including front and rear skid control, and 4 20-minute in-your-car instructional sessions from a professional instructor. Have fun, go fast, and really learn how to drive. Call 304-725-8444 for class schedules and details. That's 304-725-8444. Friday at the track at Summit Point Motorsports Park.
Hi, I'm Tyler Reddick, and you're listening to Race Talk on the Performance Motorsports Network.
Okay, welcome back to Motorsports Madness here, and want to tell you about, real quick before we cut on out of here, want to tell you about a new sponsor that we have on this program, and it is Telmed Benefits. Telmed Benefits makes it easy to visit a doctor online in minutes without ever leaving your home, your job, or wherever you are. We are all about helping people save money and receiving great value at the same time. You can even get a prescription called into your local pharmacy if medically needed. Just go visit Telmed, T-E-L, telmedbenefits.com for more information. 24/7 access to a doctor, only a call or a click away anytime, anywhere. Doesn't matter what time of the day or where you are. I have used that service, and I can tell you it is as easy as it gets. It'll save you a lot of time and money and effort trying to either wait in an emergency room or with some kind of primary care visit or what have you, or even trying to visit your own doctor. So if you're interested in Telmed Benefits, and you should be, only $19.95 a month, and it covers up up to 5 people in your household. So it is well worth the investment. And like I said, I am a TellMed user and have seen the advantages of it. When I had the flu earlier this year, it came in very handy and saved me a lot of time and aggravation. So TellMedBenefits.com, and we hope that you'll take advantage of that. We appreciate them supporting what we do here at Race Chaser Radio, and particularly on this show, Motorsports Madness. And we want to thank all of you for joining us here on the program, wherever you may be listening from and on whatever format you may be listening to us on. We do appreciate it. We look forward to being back next week with more Motorsports Madness. Until then, for Cisco Scaramuza and Randy Miller, and for Brett Guzik as well, my name is Tom Baker. Thanks again, and have a great racing weekend. Bye-bye.
You've been listening to Motorsports Madness with the Race Chaser Online crew. Stay tuned to Performance Motorsports Network for more race talk. For the latest motorsports news, visit racechaseronline.com. Motorsports Madness is a copyrighted production of the Performance Motorsports Network, www.performancemotorsportsnetwork.com. A member of the Scorpion Radio Group Incorporated, and may not be rebroadcast, replicated, or saved in any media without the explicit written permission of PMN. Check out our Facebook page or our section of the PMN website. The opinions expressed on this program are those of the host, co-hosts, and guests, and do not necessarily reflect those of the management and ownership of either the Performance Motorsports Network or Scorpion Radio Group Incorporated, the advertisers, or the marketing partners. Be listening again next week when the madness returns on Monday night at 7 Eastern. Until then, keep it off the wall and keep the shiny side up.